Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds, and what an absolutely water cooler weekend in sports. Oh, he's off the tie already. He's done with the tie. What a glorious weekend we had. We have so much to get to. I'm going to get us off fashion for a second. Baker apparently needed to bake more. Cam apparently needed to cook more. And the Jets are still the Jets. But what is going on with Aaron Rodgers? This was supposed to be a quarterback battle for the ages. Brady, Rodgers, Bucs, Packers, and for a hot second when the Packers raced out to a 10-0 lead, we thought it might be. We all thought wrong. 38 unanswered points for Tampa Bay. Boy, kick-started by a Rodgers pick six, one of his 2 INTs on the day. How about Gronk, who finally broke out, caught one of Tom Brady's 2 touchdowns on the afternoon? As the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hand the Packers their first loss of the year, 38-10 was the surprising final in this one. Brandon, I'm going to start with you. How much did what you saw yesterday unfold actually surprise you all around?
Yeah. Jenna, I'm not shocked that they won the game because of, what they have on that team when you look at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am shocked how they did it. Now, did anybody expect this? I mean, because going into the game, it was only a 1.5 spread. That's what the Packers was giving. To me, this was all about Todd Bowles and his defense. You can sit Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, just shelve that conversation. It was all about Todd Bowles. Coming into this game, Aaron Rodgers was only hit 9 times, sacked 3 times. Yesterday, he was sacked 4 times and hit 11 times. That's unbelievable what they did. Now, we all know about Todd Bowles and how he blitzes, but when you look at how he does it, he benefits from the illusion of blitzing. Behind the Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, you have the Tampa Bay Bucs when it comes to blitzing. But I think Todd separates himself in this discussion of who's the best blitzing team because he has this illusion. You don't know when he's going to throw it at you. You don't know where it's going to come from. And you saw Todd Bowles in this front 7 make Aaron Rodgers not look average, but bad, really bad. So, to me, this was all about Todd Bowles. Hats off to this team. They went in and got the win done. Another thing that I highlight, too, is when we talked about this on Friday, we talked about who had the tougher challenge, A-Rod or Tom Brady. I said A-Rod because he hasn't been challenged yet. Tom Brady was challenged on Thursday Night Football against the Chicago Bears defense. This was his first real challenge, and this is what he did. This was an unbelievable game, it was Nick.
Brandon's first real challenge since the NFC Championship game, and unfortunately for the Packers, the way they mismatched in a negative way against the Niners last year in both their matchups with the Niners front annihilating the Green Bay offensive line, it looked a hell of a lot like that yesterday. And to your point on Todd Bowles, the year before Todd Bowles got there, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the dead last ranked defense in the entire NFL by DVOA. By the last third of last season, they were a top 10 defense, and thus far this season, they've been a top 3 defense. He deserves massive amounts of credit. But Jenna, to answer your question, this was the most shocking result of this NFL season thus far. Not just because the Bucs won, but the way they won. Aaron Rodgers does not throw pick sixes, and he threw one, only his 3rd of his career. Aaron Rodgers going into yesterday's game in the previous 4 calendar years had thrown 1 interception while the Packers were ahead in a football game. He threw 2 in about 6 minutes yesterday, and they were both almost pick sixes. One was, and the other one might as well have been. So Rodgers just getting rattled. Rodgers, who I love, making a fool of himself with the end zone celebration on a touchdown that wasn't even a touchdown, and then the Bucs score 38 straight. It was all bad. So, Wilds, I was surprised the Bucs won. I was shocked the manner in which they won.
Yeah, well, first of all, we need another new stat. Aaron Rodgers threw 1 pick six, and like the almost pick six, it's like down to a 2-yard run. So that should really count as 2 pick sixes. Nick, we can later on in the show we can invent what that should be called. But Brandon, I got a question for you. Jamel Dean said when he saw that formation, he's like, I got to make this play. I know what's going to happen. And although Aaron Rodgers rarely throws pick six, it felt like he knew it, and he said he's like, I'm going to take this to the house. When you were playing, were there times where it was where you talked to the defense and like the defense just knew what was going to come and you knew what was going to come and it was just a matter of making a play, or is there more chicanery involved and it was always about misdirection?
Absolutely, because, I mean, this is where our work comes in. A lot of people think that we just go out there Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, do these walkthroughs, and it's all physical. But the teams and the players that separate themselves are the ones that understands the mental side of the game, that have high football IQ. Coming into this game, the good corners that I've been around, whether it was Antonio Cromartie, Darrelle Revis, Champ Bailey, those guys that I either went to battle against or practice against, they knew tendencies. They would tell you if you had a condensed split like you saw Adams, 75% of the chance, 75% of the time, this is what they're doing. So the good teams and the good players know this, and that's why they're able to sit on certain routes. That's why they're able to jump things. I remember one time I asked Champ Bailey in practice, I said, Champ, man, you got all these picks, and I hear a lot of commentators saying that you guess and you guess right. He said, Brandon, I don't guess. He said, I know the tendencies. I know the percentages. And that's what you're seeing here, guys studying film.
You knew, just quickly, Jenna, you knew that he had to be sitting on that route, because if Adams does a stop and go, there's nobody to help. Like he gambled, but he gambled from an informed perspective that Rodgers, because it was third and 10, was going to throw to the sticks, to the sideline, and because if Adams keeps going, nobody's there to stop him. But Dean, Jenna, knew that he wasn't going to keep going.
So last week, Brandon, I'll ask you this. Right. Last week, we heard from Patrick Mahomes after the Chiefs' first loss. He said, hey, maybe we needed this. Maybe this was a wake-up call for us. Yesterday, Aaron Rodgers kind of said the same thing. It humbled us a little bit at 4-0. There's a lot of chatter out there about where we were going. We need something to stop us in our tracks, let us know who we are. Could this loss, as bad as it was, serve as a wake-up call for Rodgers and the Packers, Brandon?
Jenna, honestly, I don't know. Friday, we talked about this. We all went around, and for me, I said there's 2 teams with 2 different missions. One team in the Tampa Bay Bucs is trying to separate themselves in the division. You have the Saints and the Panthers sitting at 3-2, alongside of you sitting at 3-2 as well. And then you have the Packers, who are undefeated, sitting alongside the Titans and the Steelers, and they're trying to separate themselves from the NFL greats, right? So when you look at this, to me, I don't know if it was Todd Bowles and his defense being that good, or just Aaron Rodgers having one of his historical worst games. Like, I don't know which one it is, and I have to be honest here. For me, I thought these were 2 different teams playing for 2 different reasons. And there's an argument here that the Tampa Bay Bucs could potentially be putting the NFL on notice. Now we're week 5, week 6. The trends are set. We know who these teams are. They're putting together. They lose on Thursday Night Football because of the penalties. They had 0 penalties yesterday. So I really don't know. I just think that this could be the Packers showing who they are against the really good teams.
All right, we've got much more to come on this game, including the one thing that Nick still can't get over. Take a turn, talk some Baker Mayfield. Nothing going right for the Browns quarterback yesterday. If only someone had predicted that. Are we back to square one in Cleveland? We'll discuss next. First things first. Another game we had pegged as a back-and-forth shootout, and another game that was not. In a nutshell, Steelers were good. Browns, not so good. Pittsburgh's defense got to Baker early and often, and even more than that. Baker Mayfield, who came in with sore ribs, did not help his case, though. Sacked 4 times, intercepted twice, finally pulled in the third. For Case Keenum, by the way, we should mention. Steelers get the big win. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers, now 5-0 for the first time since 1978? Brandon, this is your team. You picked it, so let me start with you. Was this more about what the Steelers did well or what the Browns did not?
This is all about the Steelers, and sometimes we take all this time preparing and previewing these games, and then we watch the games and we follow the trends and the storylines from those 4 quarters. But let's go back to Friday, and let's go back to the keys to this game. What did we talk about? Number 1, we talked about taking Myles Garrett out of the game. Well, there's some players like Myles Garrett, J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, even Sue in his prime, where you see 1 sack on the stat line, you're like, we did a great job. He also had 1 quarterback pressure, but I will take that. Great job, Pittsburgh Steelers. The number 2 key was helping Big Ben connect finally on the deep ball. Any throw traveling past 20 yards. He went 3 for 3, and he also connected on a touchdown. What did he do coming into the game? He was 4 for 24. 4 for 17, excuse me. That's 24%. Wow, what a great job by Big Ben and those wide receivers getting it done, because we knew this secondary was average at best. And the third key was to eliminate the Browns' running game. Coming into the game, they were number 1 in the league, 188 yards a game. And look at this, 75 yards. This is why they won the game, because they took away what the Browns did best. And they did it in a very, very glowing fashion.
Brandon.
So for that reason, you're seeing the Steelers continue on this unbelievable track to the Super Bowl.
Okay, Brandon, listen. I love your keys to the game, and you did nail all of them, but you could have gone 0 for 3, and the game would have been no different. Because the biggest key yesterday was the Pittsburgh front 7 is the best unit of offense, defense, special teams. The Pittsburgh front 7 is better at their job than any unit in football is better at theirs or is good at theirs. I said that awkwardly, but you know what I mean. What they are doing defensively with those front 7 guys, plus Minkah Fitzpatrick and others on the back end, it's the best defense in the league by a country mile. So to answer Jenna's question, this was all about Pittsburgh. This was absolutely Bud Dupree, T.J. Watt, the whole crew. They are unblockable right now. And it wouldn't have mattered if it was Baker Mayfield, Case Keenum, or Tom Landry taking snaps for the Browns yesterday. They were going to get their teeth kicked in, because the Browns, who up until yesterday had a very successful and productive offensive line, had no answers at all. So I was skeptical, Brandon, of the Steelers as a Super Bowl pick before the year. I poked at you about it. I will sit here this morning and say, for my beloved Kansas City Chiefs, there is one team in the AFC that gives me pause. Wow. And it's Pittsburgh.
It's happening.
There's one team that I'm not saying they're better than the Chiefs.
So
I'm not saying I pick them to beat the Chiefs.
So all I got to do is ask.
But there is one team that concerns me. Well,
so that's all I got to do is ask for the respect, and you'll give it to me that easy?
It's less about you asking for it and more about what I'm seeing from the Steelers. The Steelers just crushing people. They had done it Wilds, as you mentioned, against bad teams. Now they did it against a 4-1 Browns team, and I don't know, Kevin, who can block these guys.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Brandon. If Kevin Stefanski had a time machine and he had the tape of yesterday's game and he went back to the previous week, he's like, guys, great news. It's like Biff Tannen's Almanac. I know what's going to happen. We have to come up with a new game plan. Don't you think the game plan would have been to get Odell, and you don't think it would have made it there? Get Odell and Jarvis involved in the game? Whether you're like your little bubble screens and your smoke screens, because Odell had 2 catches for 25 yards.
We say that every single week.
I know, that's like, and Jarvis had 3 catches.
What did Odell have? 2 catches, 2 catches. And Odell had two catches, 25 yards or something. I mean, yes, that's why I say, I mean, coming into this game, I'm not surprised that Odell, that's how his stat sheet looked, right? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers do a great job of eliminating big plays. However, we keep saying it. Give him a screen. Give him a bubble.
That's what I'm saying.
Throw a quick little smoke out there. 100%, because you got to get this guy involved in the game. Right. Whether it is extended run plays, but you have to get him involved.
All right, so with the Browns trailing, guys, 31-7 in the third quarter, sort of inevitable. Head coach Kevin Stefanski pulls Baker, brings in Case Keenum. Baker only managed 119 yards passing. He got beat up from the get-go. So, you got to ask, Brandon, how strong is Baker's hold on the starting job here?
I don't think it's strong at all. We got to go back to the Minnesota days, right? Like, these two have history together.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
Case
Keenum
100%. Case was on his way to taking the Minnesota Vikings to a Super Bowl. One play away, basically. So when you look at this, I would say that this is a thing. This is something that we need to pay attention to in the next few weeks to come. Why? When you look at what they're asking Baker to do, how to operate this offense, don't mess up the game. Basically, we are the best in the league at running the ball. 188 yards a game coming into it. This past week, they dropped them down to 169 yards. So we're not throwing the ball around the field. So when it comes to what they're asking them to do, this is equal. But in the passing game, you have to say that Case Keenum has the edge. So if it's going to come down to actually throwing the ball, and you're sitting here at 4-2, why wouldn't you throw Case Keenum in there?
Brandon, because you get all the downside of Baker with none of the upside. I don't know if Baker's going to be a franchise quarterback or not, but I know definitively Case Keenum isn't. Case Keenum, aside from a magical 10-game stretch in Minnesota, has been exactly this since he was at the University of Houston.
So you trust Baker more than Case? So you trust Baker more than Case?
I don't really trust either one of them, but Baker at least has some upside. Case Keenum has no upside at all.
What I can show you is that first interception. What we can show you is that first interception. This is just classic double slant one. Versus zone, he's supposed to throw the ball where he threw it. But versus man, he's supposed to throw the flat or the outside. But these are fundamentals, Nick. These are fundamentals. I understand what you're saying, but I'm talking about the fundamentals of playing quarterback. That doesn't happen. You don't throw this pick if you understand the quarterback position. That is man coverage. So you're supposed to throw it to the flat or Odell Beckham Jr. That is not zone. Zone is inside, outside. He threw it to the inside slant. Brandon, this is fundamentals. You learn this in high school.
Nobody disagrees
I know this
with
as a wide receiver.
Nobody disagrees. Brandon, nobody disagrees with that.
You have no chance going against good defenses.
Brandon,
you have no chance going against the good Ds.
Brandon, what would the score have been yesterday if Case Keenum played the whole game? Would have been 1 point different.
We're talking about you need a quarterback that can operate both sides, run game and pass game. And this right here is the fundamentals. You know coming in that the Pittsburgh Steelers is #1 in blitzing the quarterback.
Yes.
You know this. You know that they're a zone blitz defense.
Got it.
You know that.
Brandon, we're having two different
on third
arguments.
down that you got to go inside. It's not too different. We're talking about the fundamentals. We're talking about the fundamentals of playing quarterback. That's what we're talking about. This doesn't happen if it's Case Keenum. You don't win games if you turn the ball over, Nick.
Brandon, I've watched Case Keenum when he was in college. Hold on, wait a second.
Case Keenum won't make this mistake. Case Keenum won't make this mistake.
Well, then he's changed. Then they got a new Case Keenum because Case Keenum his entire career
you're talking about his
has made
career
these
year
types
with
of
Coach
mistakes.
Stefanski. You're talking about his best year with Coach Stefanski.
And the Vikings
He threw 7 picks. He threw 20-something touchdowns and 7 picks in Minnesota.
The Vikings who were
so
there.
You're talking about.
Hold on, wait. The Vikings who were there, they liked that career year. They liked it so much. They said Kirk Cousins will give you the best contract anyone's ever gotten because we know Case Keenum can't do that again. And the rest of the league has looked around and said, oh, we know what Case Keenum is. This is not a defense of Baker, but he has some upside. Keenum is an undersized, underarm talented backup quarterback. That's what he is.
All right, I'm just going to go back to what I said Friday. If you eliminate the run game, that was my third key. I said if you eliminate the run game, what's going to happen is Baker's going to have to drop back and throw the ball. And what you're going to get is 1 pick, 2 pick, 3 pick, 4.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said. They eliminated the run game. Baker has to drop back. He has a fundamental double slant flat route. Versus zone, he's supposed to throw it where he threw it. It's man-to-man. What does he do on the most fundamental drop-back pass? He throws a pick. It's man-to-man. Throw it to the flat or throw it to Odell, who's wide open, can take it 30 yards. For that reason is why I would go with Case.
I could listen to this discussion for hours. Unfortunately, we got to move on to another quarterback who struggled yesterday. Wilds, you're getting involved. Your guy Cam Newton had a day to forget as the Patriots fall to third place in the AFC East. Hawks and Pats on the other side. This, my friends, is First Things First.
Patriots are fine.
Drawing a blank, Tom Brady and the Bucs finding themselves down 10-0 in the first quarter yesterday. Then they scored 38 unanswered points. So the Bucs offense was good. The Bucs defense was outstanding. But Brandon, the most impressive performance on Sunday was blank.
This was a toss-up for me, Jenna, and my buddy Nick took who I wanted to pick, but I have to go with the Bucs front seven. I could say Todd Bowles and the entire defense, but it really was that front seven. Think about what we talked about Friday. Coming in, Aaron Rodgers sacked 3 times, hit 9 in 4 games. Yesterday, sacked 4 times, hit 11. Great job by that front seven, getting after Aaron Rodgers and just confusing him.
Jenna, I went with Derrick Henry. Went for 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, DirecTV touchdown to end the game. In the coin flip, when Deshaun Watson sees that he lost, he's like, oh, Derrick Henry's going to get the ball and torch us. So I'm going with Derrick Henry as the most impressive play of the day.
Great answer.
But that's the right answer. And America, Wilds has screwed this whole segment up because Wilds took my answer, which made me then take Brandon's answer. Wilds' answer is supposed to be like, like dogs playing poker. It's supposed to be like, I don't know if you guys saw it, but at halftime, there was a monkey on roller skates, and that was the most impressive thing. That is typically the lane Kevin Wilds is in on these drawing of blanks. He brings the comedic relief. Instead, he gives the right answer, which is Derrick Henry. So I go Steelers front seven. What the Steelers front seven did in just annihilating the Browns, a really good offensive line. I thought that was the most impressive thing of the weekend. That's what Brandon wanted to say. I wanted to say Derrick Henry, and Wilds was supposed to talk about someone that parachuted into the stadium. But it all got screwed up, Jenna.
Well, you're all winners in my book. Yay! We saw a version of Aaron Rodgers yesterday we haven't seen in a long time. Bad Rodgers. 2 picks, including the costly pick 6 that changed the game. But, Brandon, the most surprising thing to happen Sunday, besides the fact that I was finally included on a group text with you guys, was blank.
Yeah. It has to be the Broncos upsetting the Pats. Kevin Wilds, what is going on here? This is the first time your team has been sub 500 since 2002. So I have to go there. I do believe this is the first time where COVID-19 is showing that its effects on the game because you have Cam Newton and also Gilmore not practicing. This is all for them in New England.
Yeah, all right, I apologize, but
I'm not worried about that. Go ahead, Nick. I'm not worried about the Patriots moral story. No, you go. You
should be.
I'm not worried about the Patriots.
You should be worried.
I just had to jump in.
It was the Broncos.
Not worried.
Wow. Wild's not worried at all. Brandon says should be worried.
Not worried at all.
I'm worried about the lies that were told in the lead up to this segment. I have to let the audience know. Jenna created a group text. So she was included in it. But then the least surprising thing was that no one responded.
Nobody responded.
There were 6 people on it. It's still waiting on a response. I would argue the most surprising thing. I know, nobody responded. The most surprising thing to happen Sunday was something that didn't happen. Adam Gase wasn't fired. What? Adam Gase still has his job.
Amazing.
That is shocking. Now, I do understand the best thing the Jets have going for them in their pursuit of Trevor Lawrence is Adam Gase continuing to coach the team. But my God, he's beefing with Greg Williams. The team can't score a touchdown. I think the most surprising thing is that Adam Gase still employed Wilds.
Oh, here we go.
I'm going to go another route. I'm going to stay with the Jets. Put that down.
Jets.
Brandon, please. You can't have good takes on the show and then start chanting the.
I got all kinds of stuff here.
Look, Marcus May's interception was an actual highlight that people, just because they're banging on the Jets, or people are trying to turn that into a low light just because he caught it with his fanny. That is a Jets highlight from yesterday. Don't turn it into a low light. That is a great play, Marcus. Don't let anyone tell you any different just because you wear a uniform of the green and white. It's a great play. This is a solid play. People trying to make fun of him.
My kid would say, caught it with his butt.
Amazing play. He caught you. Yes.
No luck
Some people are like,
involved.
LOL. No, it's a great play.
On to tonight's special edition of the NFL on Fox. Chiefs and Bills. Matchup of 2 4-1 teams coming off their first loss. Matchup of potential MVP candidate quarterbacks. All right, Brandon, a special two-parter here. Blank will have a blank performance tonight.
Oh, before I answer, let me take a page out of Nick Wright's book, A Blind Reveal. Nick, who are these two guys here? Let's show them. I love this. I love when I can take a page out of your book. Who are these two quarterbacks, Nick?
Well, I'm going to say it's
them.
Mahomes and Josh Allen.
There you go. Look at these numbers. 2018
2 years ago.
through 5 games.
Oh, wow.
Listen,
I didn't know
those were
that.
his numbers through 5 games when he won the MVP in 2018.
Wow.
So look at my guy, Josh Allen. So my answer here is Josh Allen will have a Mahomes-esque performance tonight. That's my answer.
Well, listen,
You gotta
that's a great
respect
answer,
this guy.
Brandon. I'm going
Respect
a little different. I'm going to say Chad Henne will have a critical performance tonight because my guy Brandon Marshall has informed me the league has figured out Mahomes. So I just wonder how long the Chiefs are going to keep trotting him out there before they pull the plug. I figure at some point you got to give the other guy a shot. You know, we all know that he's not going to be able to handle the, zone defense. It's been clear. Brandon's made that very clear to everyone. So Chad Henne will have a critical performance tonight because I imagine the Chiefs, listen, it's $472 million of dead money.
He can get it
it's going to take a while to clear up the cap, but you can deal with it, and maybe they could get a mid-round pick for him if they move him before the dedeadline, Wild.
Yeah,
Chad Henne was my quarterback in Miami. He can get it done. He can get it done.
Of course he was your quarterback in Miami.
Of course he was your quarterback.
Of course he was your quarterback.
Chad Henne was my quarterback in Miami. Jenna, I'm going with Kyler Murray. He's going to have a high school home game performance. He's 5-0 in Jerry World in high school. Then he won the Big 12 championship there, too. His last high school game there, he threw for 5 touchdowns, capping a high school career in which he went 43-0. That's not the score of a game. That is Kyler Murray's high school career in Texas, 43-0. So another home cooking performance from Kyler Murray in Jerry World.
All right. One more football story want to run your way. Brandon, your alma mater was in the college football spotlight Saturday. UCF kicker missed a potential go-ahead field goal late in the game. Then the kicker and the backup quarterback seen getting into a little skirmish on the sideline. Can you kind of take us through this? What was your take on it?
This is all bad. This is all bad for the national champs here. We're off to a hot start, and then we lose to Memphis. This reminds me of 2006 when we're at the Sheraton Hawaii Bowl, and Matt Prater misses the field goal for us to win the game. We didn't get into it like this, but me and my buddy definitely exchanged a few words and just ruined our first trip to a bowl game in UCF history. So this takes me back to that moment. It is not a great memory. This is all bad. All bad.
Can't blame the kicker.
Can I give a controversial statement here? Why isn't anyone allowed to criticize the kicker during the game?
Thank you.
The quarterback.
Take of the day.
The quarterback can yell at the wide receivers.
That
the
is
coaches
right.
can yell at the quarterbacks.
That is correct.
You can be yelled at for missing tackles. But if you miss a kick, leave him alone.
Can't.
Oh, he
Don't
missed a kick.
disrupt
he
their
tried his best.
mindset.
Everyone's trying their best.
It's so
It's
fragile. Don't disrupt their mindset.
Craft. I agree.
Well, then toughen him up a little bit.
Careful.
Hit a kick. It's not an outrageous thing.
He looks tough to me. He looks
Tom
tough to
Brady
me.
Tom Brady more than made up for his 4-down gaffe from last weekend in the battle of Hall of Fame quarterbacks Tom versus Aaron. Advantage Brady yesterday. Next, first things first. All right, guys, the World Series is now set. It'll be the Rays, and after an incredible game last night, the Dodgers. And that all gets underway tomorrow on Fox. Brandon, I'll start with you. What are you looking forward to most here?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we had Tom Verducci on to preview this series. The first question I asked was, is this the year that the Dodgers finally get over the hump? It's been 32 years, 1988 since they won. I think they take this momentum into the World Series and they get the job done. Since the restart, this has been the hottest team. I don't know why they started the series out the way they did, but coming back from a down 3-1, 1-3, unbelievable comeback, and it's going to be a great story.
Nice to see a team in L.A. come back from a 3-1 lead instead of blow a 3-1 lead, first of all. Second of all, 5 years in a row, I have bet on the Dodgers to win the World Series. That ticket's going to cash this year, America. And I told you guys last week that Clayton Kershaw starts in the postseason. It's my Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football. I always think this time it's going to be different.
Don't do it.
Telling you right now, his first World Series start, it's going to be different. He's going to go 7 strong, give up 4 hits, 1 run. Dodgers are going to win.
America.
I'm going to cash that check. Dodgers going to win the World Series, Wilds. I'm excited for it. Kershaw's going to be great.
Yes.
I'm pulling for Kershaw, but at this point, I don't know what you got to do to get him right. I'd be very, very worried about Kershaw starting.
Back on
Nick,
that
please
horse.
do not spend any of your daughter's college tuition on betting on Kershaw having a good performance. Just don't do it.
Your sons, don't
Just do
worry
it,
about it,
pretend.
but your daughters definitely don't. All right, again, World Series getting underway tomorrow night on Fox. Back to America's Game of the Week now, Packers in Tampa to face the Bucs. Hey, we wanted vintage Rodgers Brady. Instead, we got an almost unrecognizable version of Aaron Rodgers. 2 interceptions thrown, one of them a pick 6, the other one almost was. Tom Brady was able to move the ball well, and the Bucs scored 38 unanswered points to roll over. 38-10 was your final on that one. Our Monday morning quarterback, Mike Vick, is here. Mike, how surprised are you Tom Brady and the Bucs blew out Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers yesterday?
Really not surprised at all. Because when you have a guy like Aaron Jones who makes the comments like he made towards Tom Brady this past week, it was all the fuel to the fire that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers needed. And when I played, if you came at me or came in my neck about anything bulletin board material-wise, then you're just going to have every player on the offensive and defensive side of the ball giving 100% effort and coming at you. Now, that was the motivation, I think, to win the game, but I didn't know it would get out of hand to where it was. I honestly thought it would be a competitive game. I thought the Packers would be able to go up and down the field at will and make it a shootout versus the Bucs defense, but it showed to be otherwise. And, you know, I respect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what they was able to put on display yesterday is everything that we thought they would be able to do, you know, from day one. And they did it, and it showed up at the perfect time of the season on one of the biggest stages. And I think this will set the tone for this team moving forward. But Aaron Jones, you know, has to tone it down when it comes to, you know, going after another player, especially a guy like Tom Brady, because it's not just Tom Brady that he offended. He offended everybody, and it showed yesterday. And I think he had about 6 yards total yesterday. And every time I looked up, he was getting slammed in the B gap. He was getting slammed in the B gap all day yesterday.
Yeah, he should be embarrassed. He should be more embarrassed than Aaron Rodgers doing the little pump, Nick. The little you don't like Aaron Rodgers celebration. I absolutely loved it in the moment. But I'm not shocked that they won the game. I'm shocked how they won the game, Mike. And I don't know if it was all about Aaron Jones. I just think it comes down to that defense and Todd Bowles. Oh, my goodness. Friday, we previewed this game. We talked about what quarterback had the biggest challenge, who had the tougher job. And I chose Aaron Rodgers because I didn't think he's been challenged up to this point. Tom Brady has. Thursday Night Football, going into Chicago, going against that defense, Akeem Hicks, and then also the beast Khalil Mack. So to me, this is all about what they did on defense. You look at their offensive line. They were the best in the business coming into this game. They only let Aaron get hit 9 times, sacked 3 times. Well, yesterday, 4 sacks, 11 hits. And they also made Aaron Rodgers look like a Burrow, like a rookie. He was confused out there. He didn't know where the blitz was coming from and when. And I think that's what makes Todd Bowles' defense so good, is because everyone gets brainwashed and it's coming from all levels. You see Whitfield coming from the edge. You got the linebackers coming. Are they in the A gap? Are they in the B gap? Are they outside of JPP? And then all of a sudden you see everybody drop back and you see a pick six. You see Aaron Rodgers hold on to the ball. And that's why he went from being hit 9 times in 4 games to 11 times in 1 game, because the brilliance of Todd Bowles in this scheme. And early on in the game, I took a note. I said, you know what? It's going to come down to, Aaron Rodgers really dissecting this, because they were taking advantage of the flat. There was a few crucial 3rd downs where the corner or the linebacker didn't get outside underneath the flat. And he picked them apart, and then they were able to correct it and fix it, and then they blew the top off this game. So Aaron Rodgers, I don't think they were humbled. I just think they're showing themselves against a really good team.
Well, so a couple things to kind of amplify Mike's point. It's actually, if we're thinking of the same comments, the comments, my quarterback doesn't forget the down, it's even worse, because Aaron Jones at least been a Pro Bowler, but it was the other running back. It was Jamal Williams. So a guy who's done even less in this league was the one taking shots at the GOAT, your GOAT, Tom Brady. Which there is bulletin board. No, but the point remains. Your point about that it got the Bucs fired up absolutely remains, especially when it's a guy who'd accomplished even less than Jones had. But I think this game, if I'm a Packers fan, I think it is eerily familiar to what happened last year in the regular season against San Francisco, when everything was going really well, and then you played a team who you could not block, and they embarrassed you. And no matter how good the rest of the year went for the Packers, I felt like, and I don't know if they felt like this or not, but they should have, in the back of their mind, man, if we play them again, what's going to change? And I'm not sitting here to tell you the Packers can't beat the Bucs, but I am sitting here telling you it reminded me a lot of last year, where it was like their front is just bigger and stronger than the Packers' offensive line. Packers had a good offensive line. I know Bakhtiari got knocked out of the game, but he's one of the best left tackles in football. And that's the concern, Wilds. I'll talk about the Rodgers stuff later. The concern is the Bucs' big people annihilated the Packers' big people, and a guy that both Brandon and Mike, I think, played for in Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles takes over a defense that was the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL when he got there. And by the end of last year, they were playing at a top 10 level, and this year they've been playing at a top 5 level. That was the story of the game more than anything else, Wilds.
Yeah. See, the question that I have, Nick, is it going to be like the 49ers where you lose twice to them, or is it just a scheme thing? It's like, we saw what the Bucs did. If we play them again, we won't do this. Because I want to play the sound here. Jamel Dean knew that he was going to get a pick 6 if we can play it. Take a listen, Mike.
I was really, when I saw the formation, then I seen how everything started to develop. I'm like, I have to make this play because I know what's coming. And then once I saw him throw it, I was like, yeah, it's mine.
Yeah.
So then, Mike,
awesome.
that makes it seem like it's not just of physically overpowering them, but it's just like the Bucs outsmarted Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that was Dean's preparation that put him in that position. You can tell that was basically a mental play that turned into physical. He understood what was coming, and I think on the defensive side of the ball, you have to be able to anticipate as well. But I will say this, just jumping to the offensive side of the ball, you look at the last game that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played against the Chicago Bears, and how Tom Brady got beat up and abused in the pocket. That wasn't the case yesterday. The ball came out quicker. You know, the ball was distributed in different ways, and Tom didn't hold the ball no more than 2.5 seconds if you go back and look at every single play. And then they got Gronkowski involved, which is, you know, a story for a different day. But, you know, everything looked different yesterday, and this team was totally ready for this challenge.
Another thing to quiet. Oh man, there was some good stuff coming.
We'll get to that, Brandon. Tough day for Aaron Rodgers. Tough day for Baker Mayfield. But was it bad enough for him to lose his starting job? We'll discuss next.
Yes, Jenna, yes.
I agree. This weekend, Big Ten football returns to Fox's Big Noon Saturday. Justin Fields and the 5th-ranked Buckeyes taking on Nebraska. Coverage begins with a special Big Noon kickoff pregame show from the Shoe at 10 Eastern, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. All right, let's head to Pittsburgh now. Browns and Steelers, the first meaningful matchup in years between these two. Only one team played accordingly. The Pittsburgh Steelers dominated. Made life miserable for Baker Mayfield early and often. Baker came in with sore ribs, didn't help his case at all. He was sacked 4 times. He was intercepted twice. He was finally pulled in the 3rd for Case Keenum. Steelers get the win. They're now 5-0 for the first time since 1978. Michael Vick back with us. Mike, you think this was more about what the Steelers did well or what the Browns did poorly?
I think it's a little bit of both, but it was more so about what the Steelers did well. Everybody made a contribution from James Conner to Minkah Fitzpatrick. The offensive side of the ball, they was clicking on all cylinders. Big Ben looks to be in mid-season form and having fun. And the defense is just playing lights out. I think we talked about them last week, but they had a big reason that this Pittsburgh Steelers team is able to thrive each and every weekend. When the defense gives you opportunities and they spot you, 7 to 14 points in the game, it makes a huge difference. And regardless of what the Cleveland Browns was able to do or what Baker Mayfield couldn't do, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers was going to win this game one way or another. And, for Baker Mayfield, he was going to have to play his best football, even with an injury, in order to pull this one out. But, that AFC North rival is going to always be present, and it's going to always be hard for the Cleveland Browns to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. And yesterday clearly wasn't the day.
This was all about Steel City. Why? Because they held Myles Garrett in check, 1 sack. There's some players in the NFL that you just say, you know what, if we give up 1 sack, that's a good game for us. We contained him. J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, Sue in his prime. Those are guys like you'll give up 1 sack. Hell, you'll give up 2 sacks and you'll feel good about that. So they did that well. The second thing, Big Ben finally connected on the deep ball. Coming into this game, he has 24% throwing the ball 20-plus yards through the air. He was 4 for 17. Yesterday, he was perfect. 3 for 3 and 1 went for a touchdown. And the last thing they did well and why they won is because they stopped the run game. We talked about this. If they make Baker Mayfield and this team one-dimensional, they will have no chance. The Cleveland Browns will have no chance. So you look at how they came into this game, averaging 188 yards a game, and yesterday was 75 yards. That was an unbelievable display of defense. That front 7 from the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're one of the – it's either them, the Bucs, as far as the best front 7 out there.
I think the Bucs front 7's really good. I don't think anything's close to the Steelers front 7. To me, the Steelers front 7 is the best unit in football. Offensive, defensive, special teams, take every team in the league. Who does what they do best, the best? Right now, it's that Steelers defense in their front 7. That was the story of yesterday's game more than anything. And by the way, as a Chiefs fan and someone who has already bet on and damn near guaranteed a Chiefs Super Bowl at least appearance, if not victory, the Steelers concern me because of the way they can get to the quarterback. But Jenna, ask the question you actually want to ask. This part is not interesting to you. Ask the question you actually want to ask, Jenna. Go ahead, Jenna.
I honestly am fascinated in the future of Baker Mayfield. I don't know if he's legit, if he's here to stay, or if it's all temporary because he had a flash in the pan. I just want to know about this Browns team and if they are a real Browns team or if they're sort of a kind of a shell of who we think they are. Go ahead, Nick.
No, well, I think the question you're trying to ask is, should Case Keenum be the starter? Should the Browns
that's what would happen if we find out that Baker's not the guy.
Mike, Mike, we got into it earlier. Mike, me and Nick got into it earlier. Just
don't
down
take the jury pool. Let's just see what Vick thinks. Don't take the jury pool. Okay. Vick, should Baker Mayfield stay the starting quarterback, or should they go to Case Keenum?
Baker Mayfield has to remain the quarterback because, I mean, what's the difference between Baker and Case Keenum? I don't think it's a big difference. Hold on, let me back up for a second. Case Keenum is a solid quarterback. He's legit, and he's better in situations where he's coming off the bench and having to play from behind and taking over a team who needs a little bit of hope, sort of a Nick Foles type of situation. You know, I view Case Keenum as that type of quarterback, but I just think it's too early. I still like what Baker can present each and every Sunday. It just has to be more consistent, and it has to show up in bigger moments like the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Here's my issue, Mike, and this is why Nick, Wright, and I, if we were actually in studio and not virtual, it would have been interesting because I feel that they're better off with Case. Why? Because you're asking, anybody can operate this offense. Anybody can ask the quarterback to hand it off 40 times a game and throw it only 15 times a game. So when you look at being the Cleveland Browns and never been in this position, well, haven't been in this position in 50 years, you're 4-2, you have an opportunity, you own the wild card spot right now. And you got this quarterback who can't go through just the fundamentals of reading a defense. If you look at that pick, this is classic 2 slants and 1 to the flat. Versus zone, you go inside, outside. Versus man, you go flat to the outside guy. You have Odell wide open. He made the wrong read. This is the fundamentals. You know you're going against a zone blitz team. You know what's going on here. And this is where I think Case has the advantage, because when you play against the really good teams, now it's not about just the run game. It's about, can you manage the passing game in situational football? Red zone offense, third down offense, 2-minute offense. And Baker hasn't been able to show that. So that's the reason I go with Case, because he has an edge there.
Hold on.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, Brandon. But Baker got real real impatient yesterday. Once he got behind the 8 ball in terms of the score, he started pressing really, really hard and making ill-advised throws. And I'm saying to myself as I'm watching the game, Baker, just calm down, take it one play at a time. You don't have to get it all back in one play.
But here's the problem. Listen, okay, this is a bigger discussion than just the Steelers game. Because Wilds, whether it was Jim Baker, Josephine Baker, or Baker Mayfield, the Browns were getting their teeth kicked in no matter who was playing quarterback yesterday. It wasn't about Baker. It was about that one team annihilated the other team up front, okay? But this, Brandon, I feel, is talking about Case Keenum as if he's someone that he's not. Case Keenum is not the backup quarterback that is super conservative, that isn't going to make the big play, but won't make the mistake. Since that magical run in Minnesota that Kevin Stefanski and the Vikings loved so much, they told him to leave and they brought in Kirk Cousins. Case Keenum has started 24 games. In those 24 starts, he has 37 combined fumbles and interceptions. So this idea was that you're going to go to Case Keenum because he's going to take care of the ball. How was his offensive line?
Did he have Landry?
Come on.
Did he have Landry? Did he have OBJ? Did he have Hunt? Did he have Chubbs coming back from an injury? Tell me that. Wilds.
No,
go ahead, Wilds.
I'm on your side, buddy. Yikes, Wilds. You can yell at me.
right, hang on. We're going to play a little Take Your Pick. I definitely want to get to this. All right, Brandon, your list of friends never ceases to amaze me. I'm friends with Marnie. You're friends with Evander Holyfield. You were hanging out with Evander yesterday doing some training. That's not Marnie. Nick, let me start with you, though. If these two got in a ring, be honest, who wins?
All right, so I did a deep dive on this. Obviously, Brandon's got the reach edge. It would appear that Holyfield has the experience, but his last professional fight was 2011. I think Brandon Marshall's had a fight more recently than 2011, so it's close, but I'm going to say, Brandon, you're a slight favorite. I think you're a slight favorite. You're bigger, you're taller, and I think you've fought more recently.
Well, here's the deal. I was actually interviewing Holyfield for the I Am Athlete podcast because there's a lot of talk that Tyson, after the Tyson-Jones fight, that Holyfield and Tyson 3 could happen. So the real question is, who will win that fight? I want to see it.
Brandon, I gotta tell you, you look good. You look so jacked.
You want to see this one?
You don't really see
well,
that.
Jen, I'm trying to keep up with you.
And the whole bit.
I'm trying to keep up with you.
You're really close. You're
I'm
really
coming to the gym when I get back to Florida, baby.
Yeah,
Come on, Mike.
You win, Brandon. What happened to Aaron Rodgers yesterday? Bucs and Packers, and arguably the worst afternoon of Aaron's career. Let's work out. First things first is next.
And we're going to get Wild's Baker tape. I promise.
Back here, first things first, and our top story this morning, the long-awaited, much-hyped matchup between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. We were expecting their very best, and Brady made a case. Rodgers, however, did not. Packers raced out to a 10-0 lead, but it was all Bucs after that. Aaron Rodgers, just 160 yards passing, 2 picks, one of them a costly pick 6. Here's the quarterback after Green Bay's first loss on the year.
Look, you don't ever want to lose like this. I felt like we needed a little bit of a wake-up call at some point this season because things have been so good, and there's been so much talk, maybe outside the building, about the ease with which we're, moving the ball on offense and scoring. And, I think we need to kind of a kick in the ass a little bit as a little bit of a wake-up to, stop feeling ourselves so much and get back to the things that got us to this position. And I think this would be, unfortunately, but fortunately, something we can really grow from.
All right, Michael Vick back with us. Mike, it's interesting because that's what Patrick Mahomes said last week after the Chiefs had their first loss. They needed a wake-up call, he said, a little kick in the butt or whatnot. Aaron Rodgers is saying the same thing. I don't know if they got too complacent in that offense, but they were rolling along, and he said they needed something like this. Is there any validity to what Aaron Rodgers had to say? Maybe they did need a little wake-up call?
Absolutely. There have been times in my career where we was playing some of our best football and thinking we was invincible. Or probably, got off to a 4-0 start, I think, in 2004, and was feeling like we was going to win 16 games. And all of a sudden, the Detroit Lions come into Atlanta and beat us by 30. And, sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need to take a step back and look at things from the outside in and, just reevaluate, and guys need to be motivated in different ways. And they'll turn this film on, and it'll be a lot of motivation today in the Green Bay Packers facility. But, it's good that Aaron Rodgers can acknowledge this. I think the team will hear his message, and it'll reverberate around the locker room. And, hopefully they'll get back on the saddle, pick themselves up, and do it again. And I kind of expected this to happen at some point during the season for Green Bay because things was going so well for them. I didn't expect them to go 16-0. I just didn't think yesterday would go the way it did.
All right, so I hate to do this because I love Rodgers. On and off the field, I love him. And in general, celebrations never bother me at all. There's a pro athletes, they should be able to do what they want. But I'm an outlier in that. And I watched us have a mild national emergency when Odell Beckham Jr. once upon a time pretended to be a dog and pee on the pylon. And so I don't mean to a time to kill this, but I want you to close your eyes and imagine that a quarterback does a pantomimed sexual act whether it's Hinkle McCringleberry from Key and Peele or not, in the midst of going up 10-0, and then proceeds to have the single worst game of his career. Now open your eyes and imagine it's Cam Newton, or imagine it's a host of other quarterbacks, what the commentary would be. Because Rodgers can say we needed to be humbled, but he wasn't feeling humble when he was doing not one, not two, but 3 end zone pumps, mocking the Bucs. And then he throws a pick 6, damn near throws another one, and for the rest of the first half goes 1 of 9 up with 2 picks until the Bucs scored 28 straight points. And Brandon, we all know if this were you in your career and then you had 2 fumbles, if this was Odell, I think the show would do 24-hour coverage. I think we would have helicopters landing in Cleveland. And I'm not bothered by any of it, but it does strike me as quite the double standard that this isn't the lead topic on all the shows today, that Rodgers doing that went up 10-0 and then playing the worst game of his career.
No, I absolutely love it, Nick, and I think it's being overlooked. But it may be a bit of an overreaction. I just think he just played really bad. When you look at what he said after the game, he should have been just saying I instead of we. Not we needed to be humble, I needed to be humble. But when I saw this question, the first thing I thought about was I don't know. I don't know if I can answer this, because I don't know if it was just what Nick just laid out as far as his stats, if this was just Aaron Rodgers, one of his all-time worst games, or if it was Todd Bowles and his defense just being dominant in that front 7, getting to the quarterback. And I continue to highlight those stats. He was only hit 9 times coming into this game in 4 games. And yesterday hit 11 times, sacked 4 times, opposed to 3 leading up to this game. So for me, I don't know. Only time will tell. You know, they have a couple more games ahead of them where they should be able to dominate. And then there's 1 or 2 games where it's like, all right, let's see how you look versus another good team. So I don't know, Wilds.
So, Mike, I got a question for you, because the celebration struck me as odd, not only because it was an odd celebration, but also the timing of it. Like, they were really having their way with the Bucs defense that we knew it had some teeth to it, and Aaron Rodgers didn't really seem to care. In your career, would you celebrate a little more conservatively with a 10-point lead in the first quarter than you would, say, in the fourth quarter? Is there sort of an unwritten rule of like, look, I'm going to go level 5 for my first quarter celebration and then ratchet it up to level 10 once it's in the fourth quarter? Because to me, this felt like way too early of a celebration of this sort of confidence, let's say.
Magnitude.
Aaron, he went ratchet really, really early with his celebration. And when he celebrated that way, I was like, okay, this is about to be another blowout, because this man knows something. Like, that was like, you know, cream of the crop right there. And you know, 5 minutes later, he throw an interception to the house, and I'm like, okay, he got to back that up. And then it's another interception right after that, and I'm like, this is not going to be good, because when you throw 2 interceptions, you know, everything that you've done before that point goes out the window, and your confidence is shot. And Aaron Rodgers' confidence was shot yesterday, and it was hard to retrieve it.
Well, also, go ahead, Nick.
No, listen, I want to be clear here. I'm never the fun police. None of this bothers me, okay? But I also was, I think, the only person in America that defended Odell when he did the dog peeing celebration, right? I'm old enough to remember a mild... What, Jenna? Go ahead, Jenna.
A little bit of that is that you have to factor in someone's history. It wasn't Odell's first time doing that. There were a series of other minor skirmishes he had. Whatever.
Okay.
This was the first time you've seen Aaron Rodgers. So you
this
just have
is the first time we've seen Aaron Rodgers pantomime sex in the end zone. That's true. That is true. It's the first time. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And we know that's what he was doing. And again, I'm not the fun police. But we had a mild national emergency about Randy Moss pretending to moon a crowd, not mooning a crowd, pretending to moon a crowd. And I am here to tell you, and everybody knows it, if 15 years ago Mike Vick did this, it is a massive issue, and I think they flag him in the end zone. Vick, what would have happened if you had done this? Honestly, what would the discussion have been about you if you did this?
Well, let's go back to Antonio Brown. All you got to do is go back to Antonio Brown. I mean, that is the case study, right? When I saw this happen, I thought about, okay, is he going to get fined? What's going to be the storyline after? Because Antonio Brown, remember, he challenged the NFL years ago, and it was like, oh no, it wasn't Antonio Brown, it was Von Miller. It was, is it one pump? Is it two pumps? Is it three pumps? I'm not actually even pumping it. So that is the storyline. Yeah, it was too many pumps. But then he came back, and it was like, well, if I don't thrust my hips, is it actually a pump?
They got beat so bad, I forgot all
whatever
about the
it was, it was a premature pump by Aaron Rodgers because the Bucs went on to just destroy them, handing the Packers their first loss of the year. Take a turn. Let's talk some New England Patriots. They got pumped. Tough afternoon for them, leaving them in very unfamiliar territory. Very unfamiliar. We'll explain. This is First Things First. Let's head to New England now. Another result nobody saw coming. Patriots offense almost non-existent in this one. None of Cam Newton's top targets could get open. Hall of Famer Julian Edelman, just 2 catches for 8 yards. Tough day for him. As for Cam, 3 turnovers on the day as the Patriots lose, and they drop below 500 for the first time this late in the season since way back in 2002. Here's Cam Newton after the loss.
Obviously, the performance today, it showed a lot of, much needed. The time off showed, but yet, like I said, I have to be better, and I will be better.
Mike Vick back with us. Offense was bad. Fashion was good, as always, with him. Should Pats fans be worried about this loss to the Broncos yesterday by the Patriots, the one that now drops them to below 500, Mike?
Okay, Jenna, we know drops below 500.
No, I don't think they should be worried at all.
I had to mention it 3 times, Miles. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I think Cam is still in total control, but I think this is a testament to how important practice is throughout the week.
Yes.
And I don't think Cam was able to practice full throttle for the last week and a half or get the first team reps throwing to his guys and running the offense in practice as if he were running in the game. I think that had them stymied a little bit, and it showed at times. And, you look at the Denver Broncos team and you look at them on the schedule and you look at where they've come from and where they're sitting and you think, oh, I can just go out here and just beat this team. But it's not the case. Those guys are, getting reps throughout the week. They're studying, they're professionals just like everybody else. And I really think that Cam not having an opportunity to be out there and get the reps with the first team, didn't help the game yesterday and didn't help the team overall, even the offense get into a rhythm and be able to get comfortable in this game to make the plays that they know that they can make.
Okay. As the resident Patriots fan, I'm going to do 3 things. And I haven't done this on the show. First of all, I'm going to just do a straight-up character assassination. Then I'm going to tell you what I'm not worried about. Then I'm going to tell you what I am worried about. So first up, the character assassination. We all just need to admit it. Zoom is terrible. It's terrible if you work in meetings or just in an office. It's really terrible if you work on a football team. The bloom is off the roof. Oh, look at Zoom. I can work from my kitchen. This is easy. Why do we go to offices? Well, I don't never need to go to my office. Zoom is the worst. Am I on mute? Am I not on mute? It's bad for schools. It's bad for everything. So Zoom, I know you had all like the great press, like, I'm the CEO of Zoom. Look at me. It's free. Don't worry about it. We're not listening to your conversations and selling them in the future. No. Zoom's the worst. Obviously, if you're practicing over football, it's not going to work, and you could probably lose a game. Other thing I'm not worried about, that's the character assassination. Thing I'm not worried about, hey, the defense. Denver Broncos didn't score a touchdown. We lost on a bunch of field goals. Stephen Gilmore looked great. We look fine. We're totally fine on defense, and I just saw a great Steelers defense win a game. I just saw a great Bucs defense win a game. So I'm not worried about the Patriots because we also have a great defense. The thing I'm a little bit worried about, Nick, and I'll be honest with you, is Hall of Famer Julian Edelman. Since that Seahawks game, his bad knee started acting up. He's got 2 catches for 8 yards, as Jenna nicely mentioned. Also, went 2 for 2 from the old. Where'd he go again? I forgot where he went. Oh, 2 for 2 and 38 yards. Pass. So he can still sling it. There you go. So I think we'll be fine. I'm worried about Julian Edelman. I'm not worried about Cam. Once we can practice and get off the Zoom calls, I think the Patriots will be fine.
Okay, so a couple things.
I mean,
I wouldn't panic, Brandon, but Jets, Bengals, Texans, Jags, Chargers.
Oof.
That's the complete list of teams the Patriots are ahead of in the AFC. So that is concerning. As far as blaming it on Zoom, Brandon's beloved Tennessee Titans might as well have been, working remotely for a month, and they kicked the snot out of the Bills, and then they just won a game against the Texans. So I don't know if that's a total fair thing to blame it on. Cam clearly was rusty, and the Broncos tried to give him the game, letting Drew Lock throw the ball late. It made no sense, but the Patriots couldn't quite get it done. I am just very, very quickly, Wilds, I have one question for you before Brandon goes. Was this the JV Patriots or the varsity Patriots? Because you made it clear only certain Patriots losses count. So is it the JV or the varsity Patriots? Tell me. I just need to know how to evaluate the win for Denver. Was it the JV or the varsity Patriots?
This is like the varsity Patriots, but when they're like, it's like when they play the teachers. It's like, are we playing? Like all of a sudden we got to play the team. We got to play the basketball team.
So eventually, Brandon, we'll get to Patriot games that count again. Hopefully, they're not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs by then. But eventually, Brandon, we'll get back to Patriot games that count.
Under 500, Wilds.
Yeah, let me continue the ask Wilds a question thing. So Wilds, do you have stock in Microsoft Teams or Google Meets, any of that? Because you definitely killed. You crushed Zoom. Like, do you have any stock out there?
Golly. Does practice, Zoom was cool. Honest to God, no jokes aside. Me too. Gronkowski was like, hey, we started practicing, we started feeling good, and I knew I was going to have a big game. Patriots haven't practiced. So you can sit here, you guys are the players, does practice not matter at all?
Well, this is what I would say. This is the first time that I think we have seen COVID-19 affect the win-loss column. Coming into this year, we were all intrigued about the Bill Belichick Patriots. Who were they going to be? What was the identity? Would they be good? Would they not be good? It's the rebuilt year. So seeing this team come in, play the Seattle Seahawks the way they did, and then play the Chiefs the way they did without Cam, we were all excited about this team. So how do you go from being one of the premier teams in the league and one of the most exciting teams in the league to now losing to the Denver Broncos? And I still don't know who their quarterback is.
I'll say this. This probably was a game where I think Cam should have probably pulled it down a little bit more. Being out of sync and not being in rhythm. That's the real thing at the quarterback position. And you know that as the game continues to have a creative flow. Even with Josh McDaniels, put him in some different positions and probably take advantage of the things that the Denver Broncos wasn't doing so well and put the offense in a position where he could find a rhythm and run the football effectively. And I think they should have leaned on the run game a little more. They just was out of sync this entire game. And it was just one of them days. I know I've had days like this where nothing goes right, can't complete a pass, can't move the ball consistently, you settling for field goals.
Yep.
You have those type of days in the National Football League.
Hey, Mike, before we let you go, I want to ask you about a former Patriot, Rob Gronkowski, getting back in on the action yesterday. Showed off a little toe drag swag on his touchdown catch as well as his Bucs beat the Packers. Mike, was Gronk's 5-catch, 78-yard performance, was it a blip or was it a trend?
This is a trend. It's a trend because this is what the Tampa Bay Bucs offense needed. They needed Gronkowski to step up and take nothing away from O.J. Howard. But when Gronk's on the field at 6'7", he's a problem. He can box out and make catches. He can make catches that a lot of the tight ends still, to this day in the league, can't make. And like I said, I got a lot of respect for O.J. Howard in his game, but nobody's like Gronk. Gronk opened everything
Mike,
up yesterday.
I'm with you. I think this is a trend. Yeah, Mike, I'm with you. I think this is a trend. You can see his burst coming back. Look at that touchdown and look how fast his arms are moving. He looked like he was running in cement weeks 1 through 4. So Gronk is finally getting into shape. He's hitting that mid-season stride, and I think this is going to be a problem because you don't need to be very physical and so fast to actually dominate on the field. You just got to be smart, understanding coverage, understanding what the defenses are doing, and being savvy. Tony Gonzalez, he played like 20 years, still catching 80 balls a year. So Gronk is making that transition.
Yeah, listen, I think the numbers were actually a little more impressive than they appear on the screen because 78 yards represented almost exactly half of Brady's total passing yards. So in a game where the Bucs weren't throwing the ball much, for him to have nearly 80 yards, it's probably a bigger game than people think. But Wilds, I'm going to be the downer again. I think folks are overreacting. If this was week 1, Brandon would be telling us it's week 1, don't overreact. But because it happened in week 6, it's like now we're off and running. I don't know that I believe that. I'm glad Gronk had a moment and Brady had some nice throws to him, but I don't think this is going to be a trend.
No, I think it's a trend. After the game, he said they're starting to get in sync, and maybe with sort of an abbreviated preseason, that now he's kind of like back to his old Gronk. I feel good about it. Pro Gronk.
Okay.
And not just great for the Bucs offense, great for Brady, probably for his comfort level as well with that offense. All right, is it finally time for Nick to admit those Bucs are Super Bowl contenders?
Yes.
Packers, Bucs,
yes.
next.
Admit it, Nick.
It's time.
Yes, Nick. Yes.
How many Super Bowl
This weekend, Big Ten football returns to Fox's Big Noon Saturday as Justin Fields and the 5th-ranked Buckeyes take on Nebraska. Coverage begins with a special Big Noon kickoff pregame show live from the Shoe. That's at 10 Eastern, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. And check this out. I love this. Got a young fan in Indy, big fan. Says every morning he sits or stands, watches First Things First with Mommy. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a sports analyst with Nick Wright. How about that, Nick? Well,
good takes.
A little Nick.
That young man's got good takes.
Good takes.
That's great.
Nick about
what up, Kyla? That's good takes from that young man.
You better be good with numbers.
Back to our top story this morning. The much-hyped battle
Kay.
between Brady and Rodgers, Bucs and Packers. Packers raced out to a 10-0 lead, but it was all Bucs after that. 38 unanswered points for Tampa Bay, kick-started by a Jamel Dean pick-6. And the Buccaneers never looked back. Even Gronk found the end zone. Bucs win. They beat the Pack 38-10. Brandon, how surprised are you that Tom Brady and the Bucs blew out Aaron Rodgers and the Packers?
I'm not surprised that they won, but I am surprised how they did it. Look, I have so much stuff. Every jersey that I worn, it's in storage. Every touchdown ball I have. So I have so much stuff. I have footballs laying around the house. I have jerseys of the Jets. I have jerseys of the Seattle Seahawks. I have so much memorabilia. I also have notebooks. This is my 2015 notebook from when I was playing with the Jets. And one of the things I always did was take notes on my head coaches. So what do we have here? Coach Todd Bowles, first one in. He sets the tempo for how we work. He gets it. Accountability. He's fun. And I also have a line here that says, Todd Bowles, why is he so good? It's hard in today's game to find coaches that players respect. So I say all that because to me, this was all about Todd Bowles and that defense. They were amazing. The only thing Todd Bowles was missing in New York was that pass rush. He couldn't find a defensive end, a linebacker that can consistently get to the quarterback. We saw it yesterday. Him confusing Aaron Rodgers play after play after play. So for me, it's not about Tom Brady. It's not about Bruce Arians. It is a little bit about them cleaning up the penalties, going from being the most penalized team in the league the last 2 years to having 0 yesterday. So good job to them for cleaning that up and being a disciplined team that will help you win ball games. But you have to respect what this defense is doing, Nick.
So, well, no doubt about it. And to answer Jenna's initial question, I was shocked. I thought the Packers were going to run away with it. I didn't even think it was a possibility that the Packers would get blown out. I knew they could lose. I didn't think they would. But I never thought it was a chance they'd get blown out. But, Jenna, you asked a very interesting question at the end of the last segment. is it time for me to admit that the Bucs are Super Bowl contenders? And so you look at the team and you say, all right, they've got an excellent defense, a truly dominant front seven. They have an innovative head coach. They have great coordinators. They're a little limited at quarterback. So I would like to congratulate the Chicago Bears on also being Super Bowl contenders. Because if that's all it takes, then put them on the list. I'd be very interested to hear. I'd be very interested to hear the case as the Bucs as Super Bowl contenders that cannot be made for the team that just beat the Bucs, the Bears, as Super Bowl contenders. Now I'm going to say neither.
This is about the Bucs, not the Bears. No, yes,
right.
They are. But this is reminiscent of the 2015 Denver Broncos when Peyton Manning went to Denver. This is the same exact story. Phenomenal defense. You got Von Miller. You got Talib on one side, Harris on the other.
Chris Harris on the other.
On the offensive side, you got weapons at the wide receiver position and the tight end position. The offensive line is stout. Nick Wright, this is reminiscent of that team. Come on, man.
Listen,
you got to admit it. Admit it.
This is what I will say. What I'll say is this. If this Bucs defense can be as good as that Broncos defense, then yes, they are contenders.
They didn't show you that? They didn't show you that this Sunday versus Aaron Rodgers. We just talked about Aaron Rodgers.
They've been, I get it. I get it. They've been really good this year, but that Broncos defense was historically great with an all-timer
They're doing
pass
the same
rusher
thing. It's only through...
I understand it's only through 5 games,
you just can't.
And they were good at the end of last year as well.
If Tom Brady was not on this team, if this was Nick Foles on this team, I guarantee you would be saying that they're a contender. For some reason, you do not want to put respect on Tom Brady's name. That's what it is. It's all about Tom Brady. It's not even about the Bucs with you, Nick.
Well, I mean, they were quarterback away.
All right, Kevin, jump in. Go ahead.
Was there any concern from you love Tom Brady more than I do, that Tom Brady had a really pedestrian game, and although Aaron Rodgers, who goes down in the stat sheet, is only having 1 pick six, it's really basically 2 pick sixes because the other one went back to the 2 and they ran it in. Were you worried at all that Tom Brady just played fine? And I think we're glossing it over because Gronk had a good game and it felt like old times in New England. But he didn't play great, and it was really the story is the defense. You're not worried at all.
What I say, I mean. You go to our Instagram account and go back 2 days, and you'll see a video of me saying, I do not want to see Tom Brady throwing it 500 times. I don't want to see it. Go get the win. It's all about the win. The biggest gap in this Packers defense was their run game. So run the ball and play good defense. That's what I said. I don't care about him throwing it for 300 yards. I want to see them win, Jenna.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. The other big story yesterday, the big game, Browns-Steelers. Pittsburgh's defense got to Baker Mayfield early, got to him often and often. Baker came in with sore ribs. He was sacked 4 times. I'm sure that won't help. Intercepted twice. Finally pulled in the third quarter for Case Keenum. All right, Brandon, how strong is Baker's hold on that starting job in Cleveland?
It's not strong at all. It's slipping away, and guys, we have 5 minutes left in this show. You have to go back and watch me and Nick go head to head on this discussion. I don't think we're going to be able to get into it. For me, it goes down to one play. He threw a pick on one play. This is elementary football. For that reason, I will go with Case Keenum because I'm asking my quarterback in this system to hand the ball off. We are #1 in rushing. So what separates these two quarterbacks is making the right decision in situational football. Third down offense, red zone offense. And Baker Mayfield has not shown that he's capable of playing from behind, that he's capable of making the right decision. So for me, I'm going to go with Case Keenum.
And Case Keenum's been in the league a decade, and he has shown he's capable of that once. And I know it was with Stefanski, but since then, Wilds, Case Keenum has started 24 games, and in those 24 games, he has 37 combined interceptions and fumbles. And so if you make the switch, you're getting all the negatives of Baker, an undersized quarterback without the strongest arm who makes mistakes, without the upside of a former #1 overall pick. Wilds, I think they'd be crazy to make the switch.
1 second, Wilds. 1 second, Wilds. Case didn't have one of the best offensive lines. He didn't have Odell. He didn't have Landry. He didn't have the best run game. So please, don't tell me about his numbers with those terrible teams that he had around him.
I mean, you want to hear the truth? The answer is probably none of the above.
Yes, I want to hear
right?
the truth.
The answer is probably none of the above. Since Baker came in the league, this was his 11th game with multiple INTs. Phillip Rivers has 12, and Jameis has 13. And Jameis got shuttled out and is sitting on the bench. So Nick, here's a question to you: If I'm the Saints and I call you up and you're the Browns, and I said, hey, you know Case Keenum's not the guy. Do you want to trade straight up Baker for Jameis?
Yep.
Would you do that deal?
No, I wouldn't trade Baker for Jameis. You could have had Jameis as a backup if you wanted him, but the problem is turnovers. Then you're not. Then you're the Jameis, LASIK surgery notwithstanding, is not going to fix that.
What is it, Brandon?
Brandon, what are you doing?
Jenna, let me go to my notes. Let me go to my notes here. 10-18, Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Let's go down to Cleveland's O, right? And this is all my notes, just breaking down these two teams. And then, and I do this with a buddy of mine who's really great at understanding everything going on in the league. He says, I'll say it, this offense would be awesome if they had a good quarterback. Pass game. So I say that because
that's fine.
I didn't come out and say I didn't say that last week.
Crazy.
I didn't say it last week because I thought it would be a jerk reaction.
Hold on.
But the reality is there's people around the NFL that believe Baker is a good
quarterback. That's fine. Baker might be a bust.
He really might be. Brandon.
But there is here's the thing, Wilds.
And now people are going to start saying it, Jenna.
All right.
Go.
You might be right, Wilds.
Listen.
The right quarterback's not on the roster. But we know it's not Case.
Yes.
Go ahead, Jenna.
All right, tonight, guys, special edition of NFL on Fox. This is good. I want to get to it. Our friends at Fox Bet, they got the Chiefs as 5.5-point favorites. Nick is apoplectic.
Brandon's got the Bills
in tonight's matchup in Buffalo. Brandon, who wins tonight, buddy?
Brandon's got the Bills.
I got the Bills to win, and I don't know what they put down because I told the producers 10, but I was just joking. But it really is 3. The Bills win by 3.
All right, Wild.
I think the Chiefs win by a touchdown, probably. Hate to break it to you.
Chiefs win by double digits.
Thank you.
Brandon Marshall loses a lot of money to me from a side bet we're making. He comes in tomorrow, and I demand that we pull up all his Mahomes commentary about the league figuring it out, about Josh Allen being the next face of the AFC, and we run a best of. That's my 3-level prediction.
Chad Henne.
All right, a special 4:30 kickoff tonight.